And I'm Hans, and welcome back, everybody. We are here for the Super Bowl week. I know Mark is excited.
Yes.
I know when you guys heard from us last week, we didn't do a whole lot of Super Bowl talk because we wanted to save it for this episode. We also have our one and only great friend Nate with us today. We have some questions probably for him later. I know he's been chomping at the bit to join us for many, many episodes now with the whole Washington name change and everything else. I know he's chomping, but Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Had a great weekend. Ready for some football.
Nice. Nate, how you doing?
I'm sitting in the rain right now, but I'm doing great. Enjoying life.
Nice.
Waiting to be I'm playing the waiting game on being a dad right now, so that's always fun.
Hell yeah,
Yep.
brother.
Yep. That's the best part, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you're going to do great at it. Now, quick question, though. How's Northern Wrestling team doing?
Well, I coach at Huntingtown.
Damn it.
I knew you were
Chandler went to Northern.
I knew you were going to get that wrong. As soon as you said, I was like, are you sure it's not
actually,
Huntington?
Northern's wrestling team went undefeated in one smack, so they're doing very well.
Okay.
My team, we finished the season 10-4. We're very young. Got a couple holes in the lineup that we just haven't been able to find a kid to fill, but we're still the number one seed in our region.
Nice.
We put region duels Wednesday, and if we win, we move on to state duels Saturday. So
Nice. Good luck to the kids.
That's awesome.
Nice. All right. So I wrote some things down that I think are what people say, because when the Final Four were announced, this matchup was the matchup that people least wanted to see because there was no talking points. Because they wanted Chiefs-Rams because of that game they played in Mexico City that time where it was like 54-51. And they wanted Chiefs-49ers because that's a rematch. And then it was Bengals 49ers because that's a rematch in the 80s. And then they said Bengals Rams because they said no storylines. What I wrote down that was actually most interesting to me, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, is two teams built totally differently.
Yes.
Okay? So you have the Rams who built their team off of trades. Now, granted, they did build it through the draft at first, but then they just traded draft picks. They just threw away draft picks saying, take it, I'd rather have this veteran than, any of that. And they traded away a ton of first-round picks, traded away second-round picks, and, and all that. And the Bengals built it through the draft and free agency. And young free agents.
And just being really good at drafting, which really helps.
Right. And so the Rams are bringing in veterans. I think Ramsey was in his first contract. Is that correct? When he got traded there?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the Bengals are bringing in these players that were sort of like Hendrickson, one-hit wonder, hit free agency. The Saints didn't want to pay him. Bengals said, hey, we'll pay you. And this is what we'll pay you.
Same thing with Awuzie from Dallas you guys got. Didn't fit our scheme, killing it for y'all.
Like all these free agents that actually nobody wanted. Riley Reif, until he got hurt. And, and then through the draft, they did it their way. And so what do you guys think is because both your teams, like Washington's, and Dallas, what do you think is the easiest way to rebuild?
I think for me, if you said the words rebuild, I think the best way to rebuild is to cut loose ties with 30-year-old veterans that can go to a team. Like, no offense to the Von Millers and the Khalil Macks and the Ramseys, but when you have talent, like even Gilmore for the Patriots, when you have talent getting close to that 30-year mark and you're not winning anymore, you need to cut dead weight. And you need to cut dead weight and acquire draft capital, kind of like what Miami has, kind of like what the Eagles have this year. The Eagles know they're there, but you don't rebuild if you're the Eagles by going out and signing Russell Wilson, signing Saquon Barkley, and getting Amari Cooper. That's not how you rebuild. However, if you're a team like the Rams, or you're a team like the 49ers, you're a team that's right there, or even a team like Dallas, this is where you say, you know what? Do we need pick 26? Or could we offload pick 26? Could we get something in a positional hole that we need? Could we take pick 26 and get Stephon Gilmore? Could that be what we need? So I think it really depends on when you say the word rebuild. I think you go through the draft. If you're a team close to winning it all, I think you go through free agency. Through trading your picks. That's just me.
Yep. Nate?
Yeah, no, so as a Washington fan, the last thing I want to see my team do ever again is just spend money in free agency to spend money. I mean, the owners in the NFL literally have come out and said numerous times that they loathe Dan Snyder for resetting the market value on a defensive tackle because of what he paid Albert Haynesworth. I mean, he reset the market when he paid Deion Sanders. We've overpaid for these guys that are washed up. You can't overpay for what they used to be. You have to genuinely look at who they are now, how they're playing over the last 3 seasons, not what they did. It's like, do you want Phillip Rivers when he was, 26 to 29 and you want to pay him for what he did then when he's 33? No, you don't want to do that. It's
right.
like paying Carson Wentz for that one time that he should have been an MVP. It's hard to do. It's hard to build a team the right way, because the right way to build a team is exactly the way the Bengals have done it, which is hit in the draft. You have to have a good scouting department, and you have to have a trust in your coach. You have to trust your coach. Mm-hmm. And too many times these GMs, I mean, nowadays it's win, 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 win. If you don't win, you're gone. Mm-hmm. And, that people in Washington are calling for Ron Rivera's head after 2 seasons where he's won 14 games in 2 seasons, which is, well, pretty much what Jay Gruden was doing. So everybody's like, why did we even get rid of Jay Gruden? He was at least an offensive mind. Well, you have to put trust in your coach, and you have to believe in your coach. And I also think that you can't have a system where your coach is also your GM or your owner is your GM. And I think that Dallas and Washington are 2 of those teams that are never really going to hit it right. They may get lucky and strike gold once or twice, but they're never really going to hit it right with the way that they're structured.
No,
right now.
and I want to say something too, because I think for me with Dallas and with Washington, I think as long as the owners that we have are owning the team, they'll never see the success again. And I mean that with all due respect, especially with Dallas. It's something I mentioned last week on our episode. It's just like when you go to your boss. Let's use a boss, for example. Your first day at a new job, and your boss goes, by the way, I'm your boss. I'm your GM, your CEO, and HR. It's great. No, that's not good. That's why you need separate roles for these people.
I will say one thing here on that, because Brown, the owner of the Bengals, was one of the worst owners in the league. Okay, cheap. Never spent money on the stadium, never spent money on the team, never in free agency. When Zach Taylor was hired, he said, I will be your coach, and I will get you to where you need to go if you get me the players I tell you to get me. We can't be cheap. No. I'm not gonna have you. He had a plan, and he said, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and and not only does the owner, because Nate mentioned belief in the coach, the owner, the GM, and every single player, the 53 men in that locker room, love Zach Taylor and love everything he did. And when he went 4-12 last year, he said, I believe in what we're doing, and we are going to be making it to the Super Bowl soon. And he said that in his what they call the going away or whatever press conference. And people were shitting on him. And coming into the season, people were picking them to win 4 games, 2 games, 3 games, and had no belief. And it's just when Nate said the belief in the coach. Like, how many weeks ago, Nate, did you text in the group and say, what is the major flaw with the Bengals? And I said it was Zach Taylor. And then it seemed like after that week, they took off. And his coaching, he didn't, but his coaching changed. And he adapted, and the team just got better. And so I think having the quarterback helps. I mean, that is...
I think if you look at the final 4 teams in the playoffs, right? I think every player that plays for San Francisco 100% believes in what Kyle Shanahan says. They look at him and they go, Coach, that's your plan. We're running with it. And you know what? It's either we're gonna live by our sword and die by our sword, and that's how San Francisco plays. That's how they played all season, and that's how they played the last 3 seasons. Every single player that plays for Sean McVay rants and raves about him, because he's not only he's what they call the player's coach, because he hasn't necessarily been there and done that, but he's willing to put in the time to understand what they're going through. Ask him what play happened 5 years ago when it was in the second quarter, 7-3 against the Vikings, and there was 22 seconds left before halftime. He's going to tell you the exact play.
Yeah, he's mental.
And then you watch the Bengals. They're believing in Taylor, and then you watch Green Bay. They don't believe in LaFleur, because of Aaron Rodgers. I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's too many. When you have a player like Aaron Rodgers, who's so, I'm going to do it my way, or we're not going to do it at all.
Yep.
And I think that this might be something that people don't understand about Devontae Adams either, is he's very much like Aaron Rodgers. And that's why they've been successful, because they're on the same wavelength. But once you separate them, I don't know that they're going to have the same amount of success. Aaron Rodgers is still going to be Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest passers of all time. And Devontae Adams is still going to be a beast, don't get me wrong. But he's not going to put up 18 touchdowns in a season again.
No.
I think
it's not going to happen.
I think
that's the downfall of Green Bay. They didn't believe in McCarthy. They don't believe in LaFleur. LaFleur is a puppet, I think. I think he's a good coach, and I think that he can have success, don't get me wrong. But he's never been able to just take the reins and run like the other coaches I mentioned have.
Right.
I think something that you mentioned a minute ago, excuse me, something Mark mentioned a few minutes ago, was you said the quarterback, having that quarterback. And I think coaching has a lot to do with it too, but I think when you can find a coach and you can find a quarterback, that neither one have to be elite, but when you can find the two that really just work together, and I will be honest, I think having a top 8 to 10, maybe 12 quarterback in the league will change your team. But when you can get a coach that's willing to change, to be dynamic, to change with the times and learn how to use 2022 type tools in his head, these are the teams that win. I mean, look at the coaches that are literally in our Super Bowl right now. These are two of the smartest coaches in the league. Look at the ones, just go back one more step. Go to the AFC and NFC championship games. Andy Reid's been doing this since before I was born. But then look at the other three coaches. Look at Kyle Shanahan, look at Zach Taylor, and look at Sean McVay. These are the three smartest minds in football right now. And look where they are. That's what tells you not just your quarterback, because Jimmy Garoppolo is not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's a decent quarterback. But just look at it. We didn't think Joe Burrow was elite coming into this season, but look at him. And this is why I tell people having the decent quarterback, but with a great coach, is how you're going to win games. And look at the two teams.
There's a reason why coaches are continuing to get hired off of these same coaching trees.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
And there's a trend. I don't
look
know
out for your offensive coordinator next year to have a job.
But my thing is this: is I also look at it as there's a trend where these young coaches, young minds that are adapting to a new game, okay? And they're also hiring veteran coaches to be on their staff.
Yes.
And that to me is telling that some of these older coaches that have been either head coaches or are going to coach with these young kids.
Think about these smart coaches that are free agent coaches, right? And there was 7 jobs available. 7. Every job but Houston, Kellen Moore interviewed for. Why? It's because for one season, just like that one crazy season of one crazy player, he had that one season where he balled out, and people are like, we got to get him because he could be the next Zach Taylor. He could be the next Sean McVay. For what? And he's 31 years old. And that's kind of my point, is like, it's almost like, who's the next to do it? Who's changing the game? And unfortunately, the McCarthys of the world aren't the ones doing it. It's the younger coaches. And I'm not even a Kellen Moore fan.
That's why I think Houston was so intrigued by Josh McCown.
Yes. I think they were.
McCown was in the league for so long because he's freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
He's one of the smartest players to ever play. I mean, look at his Wonderlic test. The dude is insane.
Yeah, he's very smart.
He just wasn't athletic enough to be a very good quarterback.
Right. Not to change the subject
go ahead.
here. There's just, I mean, with the three of us, we could talk for hours.
Probably.
You know, but the most intriguing, besides Burrow Stafford, okay, obviously that's very intriguing because you've got the 13-year veteran in his first Super Bowl, and you've got the second-year quarterback in his first Super Bowl, and people are always saying, which one is it more important to?
That's the stupidest question, but go ahead.
My thing is this. It's more important to both of them because there's no guarantee
you're coming back.
You're coming back. Okay, there's none. And everybody said Mahomes is the next Brady. He's going to go to 10 Super Bowls, da-da-da-da-da. And, yeah, he's been to 2. He's 1-1.
Do you want to know something I thought about? This could be the last time you see Matthew Stafford in the Super Bowl, right? Because he's in his mid-30s almost.
Yep.
This could be Joe Burrow could somehow win. Let's say you guys win the Super Bowl. He could be Flacco for the next 20 years. He could be Russell Wilson. This could never happen again.
Exactly. And that's why it's like, for me, that storyline is going to be that storyline because quarterbacks are always the most talked about.
Exactly.
This storyline here, though, for me, is really intriguing because you have Ramsey versus Chase.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Ramsey has been beat a lot this year, and he's been beat a lot by fast wide receivers like that, good route runners, things like that. I'm not saying Ramsey's lost a set, and I'm not saying Chase is going to dog him at all.
Being a corner is one of the hardest positions in football.
But I'm going to say that this right here, because even Aaron Donald and, versus that offensive line. Yeah.
And Von Miller.
You don't have a guy that you're going to say is an offensive lineman that's going to give them a challenge, let's say. This, to me, is the best matchup in the game story for me. And I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. Is there another matchup that you guys are looking at, or do you think there's an advantage for either Ramsey or Chase in this matchup?
Can I go first, Nate?
Yeah.
So to me, the most other than quarterback and other than this matchup, because you just said it, something I've thought about is I want to see Von Miller and the linebackers and the outside linemen against Joe Mixon. I want to see how Uzoma, who we're hoping is playing, I want to see how your tight ends and outside tackles help Mixon against how fast the defensive linemen are for the Rams. I think who's going to pass the ball. Stafford's going to do well. Joe Burrow is going to be on his game. But if neither team gets the run game going, they're not going to win the game. Mm-hmm. I think it's not just going to come down to Chase having 1,000 yards this game. I'm being facetious. It's going to come down to who can run the ball better, honestly. And if Joe Mixon can't get going, it's going to force the ball into Burrow's hands more than he needs to. And then that's when Ramsey and the safety both cover Chase and take away that outlet. So to me, I want to see how Joe Mixon does behind the line against that defensive line. Can he get through it? That's a matchup no one's talking about. But Mixon is probably one of the best players on the team other than Burrow. But it doesn't get as much credit as I think he deserves.
Okay.
That's just me.
All right. Nate?
I had a bit of a hot take here. So just real quick on Jalen Ramsey. I think one of the worst things that happened to him this year was Trayvon Diggs. And I think the reason being is Diggs was getting talked about as Defensive Player of the Year as a cornerback. Well, Ramsey knows, and don't get me wrong, Ramsey's not dumb. He may do dumb things on social media and say stupid things. He's not dumb.
No.
He knows he's the best cornerback in football. And he wants to be the best cornerback in football. But when he's not getting talked about in that same capacity that Diggs is, for all of the interceptions Diggs was getting, regardless of how many yards he was giving up, Ramsey started being a ball hawk. He started going after the ball more. And if you watch in the Tampa game, when Mike Evans beat him, he beat him on a little stutter. He hit a stutter, planted, and then took off. Ramsey immediately looked at Tom Brady and then was backtracking, and Evans beat him deep. And I think that it's too many. We're in an era that we're going to see more and more of this because of social media, and people are calling out people. They're like, "Oh, well, Ramsey's not the best corner anymore because Trayvon Diggs has 11 interceptions or whatever it was." And I think that got to Ramsey personally. That's just my personal.
And I took that personally. Yeah,
in my opinion, this game is going to come down to two things. It's going to come down to who the hell is going to double team Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And when you double team Cooper Kupp, who is covering OBJ? Because every time Cooper Kupp has been doubled, where does Stafford go? Odell Beckham.
And Jefferson.
Right at Odell Beckham. And I'll tell you this, I'm rooting for the Bengals because, one, I'm your friend, Mark, but two, I just love the team. But if Robert Woods was healthy, I don't think this would be a game.
I don't think they would have gotten OBJ, though.
I think they still would have gone after him. Why not? They went after Von Miller having Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd.
They wouldn't have needed OBJ if he didn't get hurt.
They need someone else on the outside.
Yeah.
You can't put Jefferson out there and hope for the best.
But he's still not there yet.
You also need someone else to put in the slot that you trust when you want to move Cooper Kupp outside.
Yeah. So, like Christian was saying, like the D-line, how fast they are. Like, for me, this game is the potential of the same thing you saw last weekend. Okay? This team is built just like, to me, the Kansas City Chiefs. Fast, athletic defensive line, good linebackers. Secondary has, Ramsey's a beast, so you can't compare anybody to Ramsey, but the rest of their secondary is suspect. Okay, I'll say that. I'm not impressed with the rest of them.
Hey, I'm just gonna say this: Eric Weddle has looked like he's in his late 20s this entire postseason.
I will say Ramsey and then Chidobe Awuzie, right? That kind of matchup. And then you guys have Von Bell, right? Is that his name? I said that right? I think other than that, I think in both secondaries, Weddle's been good, but both secondaries after that is very,
Well, we got Bates. We've got, and I'm biased, okay?
But that's safety. I'm talking corners. That's your
Bates
safety.
better get paid.
Yes.
But I'm talking your corner. Like, there is deficiencies in the secondaries of both these teams.
But I look at it and I say, okay, so who's going to cover if you bracket Chase, which is smart.
That's probably what they're going to do.
Okay, who covers Higgins? Who covers Boyd?
I think Boyd's going to have a game.
And those linebackers love to rush. They don't like to cover.
And see, this is the interesting part about this match.
Who's the white linebacker for the Rams?
I know who he's talking about. I can't think of his name.
Is it Reader or something like that? Boyd is going to tear him up. Boyd is going to absolutely put him in a spin cycle. And when Joe Burrow's in trouble, when he feels the pressure, where does he look? Tyler Boyd.
Yep.
And who hasn't dropped a pass since week 2 of 2020? Tyler Boyd.
Right, and that's why I look at it and it Mixon to me doesn't have to be good in the run game, but he has to be that outlet. As that quick little screenplay where they scored with Pirine and stuff. But I
think another thing too is you can look at the exact scenario from both sides here. Both of these teams have 3 really good wide receivers. Now, I know we're hard on OBJ, and I've been hard on OBJ before, but he's looked a completely different player these last few weeks since he's been on the Rams. And I'll use the same example, Cooper Kupp. You have to bracket him. You're going to have to. But then that leaves now same situation, like it does with Higgins and it does with Boyd. Same situation now with their weapons. Now it leaves open. So it's like both these teams have 3 wide receivers that the other team doesn't have enough coverage to cover them. It's all about which quarterback, really in a way, sees the open holes better.
Honestly, I think one of the biggest keys to this game, and it's been something that's happened all playoffs, is the ability of Cincinnati's linebacking core, which on paper is, I would say, maybe top 15 in the league, but probably most of the time around 18 or so. They played out of their minds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Logan Wilson absolutely shut down Travis Kelce. He was always around him.
Yep.
There was no chance, because Patrick Mahomes couldn't trust the fact that with a 1-score lead, I can get that ball there without it being tipped or picked. And if they tip the ball, Von Bell, Jesse Bates, Awuzie, Eli Apple, someone else is going to come and pick it off.
Yeah.
And I think you have to play this game similarly to the way that they played the second half against Mahomes, because if you blitz Matthew Stafford, he's going to tear you up.
Right. And my thing is this, is if I'm a Bengals defensive player, I feel very disrespected right now. Because all they're talking about is how dominant the Rams are and how much better they are than the Bengals. And I'm looking at Hendrickson, and I'm looking at Hubbard, and I'm looking at Reader, and I'm looking at Hill, and I'm looking at all these guys on that defensive line, and I'm saying, we just, with a 3-man, 4-man rush, we just shut down the best offense in football.
So there is a disrespect for the Bengals. And I don't really understand the reasoning why, but I'll do my best to explain why I think it is, because I watch a lot of SportsCenter too, and they do talk up the Rams lots because the Rams have been in the playoffs the last 6 years. And I think a lot of it has to do with people like, are the Bengals just the hot team kid? Like, are they the comeback kids all of a sudden? And this is just a 1-year Jaguars thing. And to be fair, that's not an unfair analysis because they've come out of nowhere. Now, I don't think they've come out of nowhere. We don't, because we're real fans. But there are fans who are like, where'd they come from? We didn't think they'd do this. They had 4 wins. We can't name nobody. It's because they don't have the big names. And ESPN, when you're home, you're watching it, ESPN talks about the biggest named players. Other than Joe Burrow, no one on the team has more than 1 million followers. So it comes down to, they're going to talk up the Rams because... And honestly, I kind of like them doing this. I'm not.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying, if I'm the Bengals defense, I'm looking at it as, okay, a couple days last week, they talked about, Hendrickson being the best defensive signing in the offseason.
Yep.
Hubbard, just getting to the quarterback, blah, blah, blah. But I love the fact that we have no names. I love the fact that we have they're just like Nate said, like the linebackers. Yep. They're just there.
You guys are secret right now, which is good, and I think that's the way it should be. But the reason I'm saying this is I think when I watch them not talk about the Bengals, I kind of understand why, and it's mainly because one of these two teams has been there the last 5 or 6 years, close to this game or in the Super Bowl, and I think people just I think they're underestimating the Bengals. I think they really are.
All right, so next question I have, I think it's just a great story. Because he was one of my favorite Bengals for a long time. Whitworth, the offensive lineman for the Rams, he's playing against the Bengals. Funny story that when Joe Burrow was rehabbing out in L.A., he was with Whitworth. He was living at his house. But I love this guy. He's a stand-up guy in the NFL, and, I don't think he can handle – I think he's up there. He's still good, but I just love that story of ex-Bengal, long-time Bengal. And then, now he's with the Rams and he's finally getting, the chance in the Super Bowl. But who do you guys believe in more, Stafford or Burrow?
I'll let Nate go first.
It's tough. And honestly, if there's 2 minutes on the clock, and one team has the ball,
that team's going to win.
I honestly think I'm going Joey B. And the reason why is he's got a lot less pressure on him, I feel, than Matthew Stafford does. Mm-hmm. Because Matthew Stafford was the number 1 overall pick. And I know Joe Burrow was too, but Matthew Stafford was the number 1 overall pick, was supposed to change the Lions franchise. They paired him with Megatron. All of this. He only had 3 playoff appearances his entire time in Detroit, never won a game. And now he's finally in the big game with this super team that's been created by multiple first-round and second-round picks being traded. And while Matthew Stafford has been absolutely lights out, and I love him as a quarterback, he's one of my favorites to watch. I have more trust right now in the confidence that Joe Burrow has, not only in himself, but in every single person that's on that team. He believes that every person that's on that field with him, the entire 52 other men plus his coaching staff, he believes they're the best. And he believes that this is not a fluke. This is something that's going to happen for a while. Mm-hmm. And he believes that he can take out Mahomes, believes he can take out Allen, and believes that he's going to beat the Rams. And that's why I put my faith in him.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Joe Burrow is the quarterback I would put more faith in. I think for every reason Nate just said, he has I'm going to say it's our podcast. He's got big dick energy right now. I'm not trying to sound mean. Most quarterbacks, when they have this, you think of the Johnny Manziels, or you think of the Baker Mayfields, they act like that. But for some reason, you can't hate this guy because he's just so likable. He really, really is. But he comes out and it's almost like the whole Babe Ruth thing, points where he's going to hit it. There's something different about Joe Burrow that he has the utmost confidence right now. And I think what ESPN and sports writers are talking about is how confident and underdog and how up on the top of the world the Bengals are. And this is where the opposite is, where where people the Rams aren't as prepared. The Rams aren't at the same level. They're not as the underdogs. Matthew Stafford's not sitting there. I'm like, dude, Matthew Stafford's probably sitting there doing yoga right now, trying to get in his vibe. And that's it's so hard to pick between these two quarterbacks because you have such short tape on one, and you have the other that, even though he was bad with the Lions for a while, the team was bad, he was a Pro Bowler a few years. He wasn't a bad quarterback, and I feel part of me, people know what Joe Burrow is, but I feel for fans, you have to be hey guys, new fans, I know Joe Burrow is kind of the Steph Curry to y'all right now, but Matthew Stafford is a dog, and I would not put it past him either. So for me right now,
don't compare Joe Burrow to Steph Curry. Come on.
No. I was talking popularity for how young fans are. You see more Burrow jerseys than anything. It's like Lamar a few years ago, except Joe Burrow's way better, is what I'm saying. He's becoming the face right now, and that's what's going to happen, like Steph Curry did. Mm-hmm. However, what I'm saying is these two quarterbacks, the storylines between the two, I just think Joe Burrow has more confidence right now. I think he's going to be more prepared when the game starts.
All right. I just hate the fact that we're playing against Stafford.
Yeah.
Because if Stafford was playing against Kansas City, anybody else,
Yeah.
I'd be rooting hard for Stafford.
I posted this question.
100% agree.
And
that's why, even though I'm pulling for the Bengals to win, I'm not going to be disappointed with whoever wins the Super Bowl,
No.
as long as it's a good game.
I will tell you right now, I'm boo-hooing either way.
So something
If the Bengals win, I'm crying. If the Bengals lose, I'm crying.
So something I've posted on a lot of NFL pages recently is like, I've posted to people and I'm like, I don't care. Like, if you're not a Stafford fan and you're not a Burrow fan, I want all fans that are every other team to say, how can you really, in your gut, pick between these two great players? You have the underdog in the first time in so long you've seen a quarterback like this out of nowhere be the underdog like this. But then you have Matthew Stafford, who's like the most likable dude in the world right now in sports. It's like, this is a fantastic, like, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if it's the 49ers. It didn't matter if it was the Chiefs. This is the matchup people want because you have real fans, like all of us three here. You have you have two fantastic storylines going into this. You have great cornerback, wide receiver matchups. You have great middle linebacker, running back matchups, and you have great O-lines that match up well with the defensive line. These two teams match up so well together, but at the same time, they don't. And that's what's going to make the game even better. So I think if you're not a fan of either one of these two teams, you should be excited for whatever happens. And it's been a long time since fans have seen a Super Bowl that goes one way or the other. Tom Brady would win. People go, oh, I don't think it matters if you're a Rams or a Bengals fan. Everyone else should be happy with the outcome, no matter what happens.
Okay.
As long as it's a good game, like Nate said.
Okay. Now, so do you guys have any storylines that you thought of that I didn't mention?
It's Matthew Stafford's birthday this week, so I may have something to do. I don't know. Other than that, no. I think you pretty much hit all the points.
The only thing I want to say is, like, as a guy who's rooted for this guy for a while and has had him on numerous fantasy teams, and he's just been Mr. Steady and True, I feel so bad for Robert Woods right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll still get a ring.
My heart breaks for that guy.
Yep. And I tell you what, if CJ Uzama, whatever, wasn't playing this week, my heart would break for him. Like, he is the leader. He is the heart of this team.
He's one of those players like Mixon. I mean, Burrow's the most important, but Uzoma not playing could really cost that game if he didn't.
Yeah, and
He's huge.
thought when he went down in the first series,
I thought he was done.
I thought the game was over.
Yep.
I really did. But it just, again, I've said it over and over and over again this year. There's something different about this team, and it was 21 to 3. You know, and I was like, I had a feeling it was going to be a blowout. I was the first person to text that in the group. And then it was 21 to 10. I was like, all right, you know, and then they went right down the field, and Andy Reid, for some reason, believed that, you know, he should listen to Mahomes, and Mahomes blew it. And then the Bengals just came out and outplayed them in the second half. And I think adjustments is going to win this game. Whoever adjusts the best.
I think whichever field goal kicker misses less kicks wins the game.
You know, and I mean, that's another thing. McPherson is in the same, you know, this kid is just lights out.
Hey, Dallas, take notes. Pick a kicker in the fourth round. Pick a kicker in the fourth round, Dallas. Take notes.
So before we do our predictions, there's a couple storylines I want to bring up, okay, that happened this week that are a big deal in football, okay? It's a big deal. So first off is Tom Brady retiring. Okay, we mentioned he hadn't officially retired last week when we did the podcast. He officially retires, and I tell you what, like, just watching all the highlights, you know, and I went on Hulu and I watched the Man in the Arena. If you guys haven't watched it, watch it. It's awesome. It's all 10 of his Super Bowls. So it's 10 episodes. It's all 10 of his Super Bowls, and it is a great watch. You know, it is everything. And I just look at it and I'm just like, everybody was saying, yeah, Mahomes is the next thing, you know, Mahomes is but we're never going to see 7 Super Bowls in 10 years from a quarterback. We're not. You know, we might see 7 AFC championship games or 10 AFC championship games from Mahomes.
Let me say this. We can't say it will never happen. The chances are really, really slim because there's a lot of sports where there was somebody that did it the first time, and then 30 years later, someone did it again.
But think about it.
I know, but we can't say it's
There's
impossible.
only one quarterback that's won 4.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like
football's a different sport than the other sports, though.
I understand. I'm just saying we can't say impossible. There could be
Especially-
another Tom Brady in the year 3050. We have no idea.
Think about how many different receivers, different alignment, different defensive schemes Tom Brady has been a part of and been around and had on the opposite side of the football of him. I mean, I can't find the words to say that can properly encompass how I feel, because I've never in my life been someone that's hated Tom Brady, and I've always questioned people that do. And it's like when you watch greatness, when you watch something like this, you have to take it in. You have to just be a sponge and just enjoy what you're seeing, because he is the ultimate athlete. And I'm a coach, and I push my kids, and I push my kids, and I push my kids, and I tell them, you have to have the Brady mentality. I tell them that all the time. And I know that's hard to push on a high school kid, but you have to, it's just the unwillingness to lose.
Yeah.
There's never a point where Tom Brady, there could be 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter, down by 20 points, and Tom Brady's going, I've got a shot at this. If this, and this happen, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that is just unparalleled.
Yeah. I just, it's sad. But then I looked back at my life. You know, you guys are, again, a lot younger than me. There's almost a 20-year but there is a 20-year difference between all of us.
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're old, dude.
But, I mean, I saw Magic Bird. I saw Jordan.
What's a magic bird? I'm joking,
All right.
dude. Come on.
You know, I saw Jordan.
I to read through the phone, man.
You know, I saw Gretzky. I saw Lemieux. You know, I know these guys are Washington fans, so Ovi.
Soon Gretzky doesn't
Ovechkin.
matter, but yeah.
You know, Brady. You know, I've seen, you know, I saw Montana. You know, I didn't see Babe Ruth, you know, but I saw,
not.
you know, but
You're almost old enough to see him.
you know, but for baseball wise, like somebody like Tony Gwynn, the greatest hitter, you know, even though he doesn't have the records that Pete Rose has, Tony Gwynn was the greatest hitter to ever play, you know, and Barry Bonds, you know, Roger Clemens, you know, Jim Palmer, I saw at the end of his career, Nolan Ryan, who I've seen that has the most no-hit. Like, I've seen some great athletes, and I've seen the greatest quarterback to ever play. I've seen the greatest, you know, and it's like, to me, it's sad, but at the same time, I look back on it, I'm like, I witnessed it. You know, and I know, like, Malik, who, you know,
I wanted to check on him. He was really,
you know,
really
but it's like there's going to be fans that are absolutely devastated. But at the end, like, when it settles, it's just going to be, I saw the great. Like, when when your kids are watching football, and they're like, Dad, who was the greatest football player you've ever seen? Well, there was a guy 10 years ago that played, and his name was Tom Brady.
See, that's the thing I made the joke about with my wife is I said when Xander, who my son is, the name of my son, I said when he gets older, it's like he's going to say the same thing. Like he's going to have a Madden game, and he's going to Madden 30 or something crazy, and the cover's going to have, I don't know, Bronny Jr. on it, right? And then it's going to have some TikToker, Juju on it, right? And he'll say, Dad, like, I just got the Hall of Fame back. Like, who's this guy, Tom Brady? I'm like, sit down, son. Like, you're about to be blown away. And he'd be like, but he's not fast. He doesn't run. You know, Dad, every quarterback in the league runs the ball now. Like, there's no more throwing. Like I make this joke, but, like, it's serious. Like, you want to sit down and, like, it doesn't matter what sport, doesn't matter what. It could be from tennis all the way to wrestling. It could be anything. It's really hard to sit down and explain the greatest of a sport to a child, especially when they get to 17, when they miss it. Like, I don't understand Jordan's greatness because I wasn't a part of it.
Right.
I mean, I did watch the last 10 years of Kobe and then LeBron. Like, I didn't watch Jordan's greatness. I didn't watch Barry Bonds, right? So, like, I missed those, but, like, I didn't miss Tom Brady's career. Yes, I poo-pooed on him. I was a high school student. It was the cool thing to do. But as I got older and we did this show and I met all the guys in the group, I was like, he really is. Like, I wish I didn't poo-poo on him all those years because I missed a lot more. When I rooted against him every Super Bowl, I missed so much. And now I have to go back, and I've been watching the thing. Like, you have to go back and watch these now and go, we're going to miss him when he's gone. But luckily, the sport's in good hands.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, when we're in the offseason, we'll talk a lot about the state of the NFL, where teams are going and stuff. But this one, I know, Nate, I'm going to give you a few minutes. Only a few. Okay?
Nate, you have about 10.
We'll talk about it at more after the season. Quick answer. How do you feel about the Washington Commanders?
I think that the name is less important than the product that gets put on the field. And I think that the name coincides with a lot of other names in the NFL. And, Stephen A. Smith can say it's silly and it's wacky and this and that. But I was actually at Home Depot yesterday, and I saw a guy wearing a Washington Commanders mask. And I asked him, like, oh, well, what do you think of the name? And he said, well, I'm actually a Bears fan, but I live in D.C. And one of the players actually came out and gave me the mask. And I asked him who it was. And, of course, it was freaking Chris Baker and Pierre Garçon that were out in one of the Teslas giving out free Washington Commanders gear. And he was like, as a Bears fan, it's sad to see the fact that the Redskins are no more. But if there was anything you could do to try to step into the next phase of your franchise, this is what it is, And he even told me, he was like, look, I'm a Bears fan, and I think the jerseys are sick. He was like, I'm a big fan. I'm going to get John Allen jersey in black because he's my favorite player on your team. And, it was pretty cool to hear that. It gave me a different perspective on it because I was very much in the stance of Red Wolves. I was hardcore on that. It's sad to see that wasn't the name, and it's sad to see that after 2 years, this is kind of what they came up with. But I think that just like with everything that's brand new, they're going to listen to feedback and change and try to make it right. And for whatever reason, I'm still a believer in this franchise, even though they've steered me down every wrong path I could ever go on as a fan.
I want to say something real quick, because something to me that's interesting is kind of like what you said that guy said. And that was when he said the new name, whether it's a good name, whether it's a bad name, whatever it is, kind of moves you into this kind of new direction. For a lot of fans, especially like you and Logan, Nate, not all the years of being a DC fan has been bright. It's been dark. It's been showered by misogyny. It's been showered by lawsuits and allegations, and it's not been clear. Whereas, yes, we know the Redskin name, but at the same time, like, the uniforms may not be the greatest, the team name might not be the greatest, and people like the Red Wolves. I get it. At least Commanders has like a DC feel to it. I understand. But what you're kind of doing here is for the real fans, you're not putting the term Redskin behind you, but at the same time, you're kind of saying we're a new team, and we want to kind of put that stuff behind us. Not the name exactly. I know you still have Snyder as the owner, right? But like, you're kind of saying we're moving into this new direction, and we don't want to be affiliated with the stink that we were. Not really what's on the field. It's kind of like the front office stink that stained everything. It's kind of like a new beginning. Does that make sense? Where most of the fans are like, we don't care about the name. This is a new birth of a team. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So my thought on it is what you just said there. And I know Nate will want to talk about it, but we don't have time. So, Nate, we're going to have you on again soon when we're talking about stuff, random stuff. But the only way you get that stink out, and I don't know why the NFL has not forced this man to sell yet, because the Panthers owner came out and half the stuff that's
sell for a lot less.
Right, for a lot less. And Snyder has not been forced to sell. What does this man have on the NFL? But you're not getting.
He's not even forced to release the goddamn reports.
He's not. You're not going to get that stink, even if you go 14-3 next year, and you go to the Super Bowl. All that's going to be talked about is that.
Yep, I know.
And so, like, for me, like, Nate, I'm sorry I brought that up because I'm sure you want to,
he's got time,
go down there, but I want to get into the predictions,
okay.
Because this is Super Bowl week.
There's still 20 minutes left.
Say one thing real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I promise. I was listening to 106.7 The Fan the other day, and they asked the question, would you rather win a Super Bowl next year or have Dan Snyder gone and not win a Super Bowl for 5 years?
Dan Snyder gone, make it 10 if I was a DC fan.
I'd make it 20.
Yep.
I'd make it 20.
Yep.
I don't care.
Misogynistic asshole.
I can't raise my children to be fans. I'm having a daughter, dude.
Yeah.
I can't. Dude, it would drive me insane. So I want a new owner, and we can figure it out from there.
Yep.
Bezos, if you're listening, which I know you probably aren't, but if you are, buy the team.
Yeah, we only got like 4 of y'all that listen, so probably not Bezos. But hey, Bezos, what's up?
But it is one of those things though. Like it's tough, And until the last couple of years, I would tell you that I wanted a new owner for the Bengals. But then all of a sudden, he opened up his pocketbook, and I have to say, because I loved the signing. Like, I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, he just had his career year, And they brought in Hendrickson, and he had a career year, and people are like, oh, well, all the stars aligned. Like, he's not that good if you looked at his past years. And all this man did was build on what he did last year. And it's just the mentality of the players. And Nate said it perfectly earlier, like when we were talking about the rebuild. Snyder brought in a lot of old players that he overpaid for. It was like you said, it was the name, not the player. Mm-hmm. And what the Bengals have been doing is they've been bringing in players that are what they need, mm-hmm. and mentality-wise, personality-wise, and everything. And for me, it's fun to watch. So,
because, and I want to repeat why what you just said goes back to what we said 20 minutes ago. You said they were bringing in guys who have good talent and not the names. Unfortunately, when you are watching ESPN and it's in the background, you hear them say like, oh man, Hendrickson, and somebody's still going to keep cooking. They say Von Miller. You're like, oh, Von Miller. So they're talking up the Rams because they have these higher profile players, not saying the Bengals players aren't better because they're playing better right now. They just don't have the name yet. That's the thing. So that's why they're not being talked about.
All right. So with that being said, I'm going to give you both the first shot. So whichever one wants to go first.
Me?
Yeah, he's having you. So what's your prediction and why?
So, okay. So can I start? How do I want to word this?
He's picking the Rams.
Why is he just got to play me like that?
Because you said, how do I want to word this? No. It's like you're breaking up with somebody, and it's not you, it's me. It's not the Bengals.
I was going to try to get Nate to go first because he's the guest, but it's fine. So, for me, I am picking the Rams. However, I'm going to be rooting for the Bengals. I'm going to be rooting for the Bengals for Mark, even though he wouldn't do it for our teams. It's fine.
I'd root for the Cowboys if they weren't playing somebody like the Bengals.
Did you hear that, Nate? Do you really think he would root for the Dallas Cowboys or the DC
because in
the
us? 90s, I rooted for the Cowboys
to win. He believed that they would win.
Yeah, that's true.
You guys are choke artists right now.
Yeah, we are.
I'd root for Washington if they made the Super Bowl.
All right. So I am going to be rooting for the Bengals because I want to see the storyline. I want to see Burrow win. I think he's an incredibly talented quarterback. I think he's an elite quarterback. I said that last week. I think he has proved himself he is an elite quarterback as one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league. That, to me, is the elite category. If you're in the top 5, you're elite. 5 through 10, you're great. You're good, but you're not elite. I think they have the heart. They're the underdog team, and they're playing at a level that's unreal. I think, to me, though, the unfortunate part is I think at some point that energy, we hope they keep it up. And part of me has this gut feeling that with the bye week they just had with the Pro Bowl, I unfortunately feel like it's going to fizzle and they're going to show up. But I think the bye week might have hurt the Bengals more than if the Super Bowl was yesterday. I feel like it would have been better if instead of a Pro Bowl, the Super Bowl was yesterday because they'd have been hot. But 2 weeks off on this streak they've been on is huge for a young team under the age of 28 almost total. And that's why I'm picking the Rams as a veteran team. But I'm changing my pick from last week as a blowout. I think it's close.
What's the score?
I think the score is going to be 31-27.
Okay.
I think it's close, not a field goal game. I think it's going to come down to the field. I think either A, Stafford's going to end with the ball with a few minutes left and run the clock out, or Joey Burrow, clock runs out, I don't want to say interception, but I don't think it ends with a field goal missed because McPherson's that guy. I think it's a 4-point win, but I will be rooting for the Bengals, and if Mark has a Bengals shirt, I'll wear it for him. But I just don't think they're going to be the team that wins, which is unfortunate. But that's just my gut feeling right now.
Okay. Go ahead, Nate.
Man, I think what we're going to see is a defensive struggle to start.
Yep.
And then I think the Rams are going to get on the board first. And I think that they're going to get on the board second. And then I think Joe Burrow is going to get the team in position to kick a field goal. And then the Rams are going to score right before halftime. I think that it's going to be a game that a lot of people are like, man, do the Bengals actually deserve to be here? And then the Bengals are just going to start chipping away. They're going to start stockpiling their chips. And I think that in the end, we're going to watch Joe Burrow raise the Lombardi Trophy. I think it's going to be 27-24 Bengals.
Okay.
And my boy McPherson kicks 2 field goals, 1 in the first half and 1 to win the game.
All right.
In true gangster fashion.
He is a really good kicker. I do want to add to something that Nate just said is I think he is correct at his first half, second half prediction right then. Mark, quit it. I think that I think the prediction of the Rams striking first and striking again, and the whole are the Bengals deserving to be here. My only thing is I actually think that's 100% accurate. I didn't actually explain it, but I don't think the Bengals are going to lead much at all. But I do think they're going to mount an incredible comeback, and I just think it's going to be too little too late. But I think you're going to be like, damn, what if we had 2 more minutes? Just 2 more minutes, 1 more overtime. Like, we're going to wish it went to overtime, but it doesn't.
I
That's
want
my
that
thing.
tape isolated where he said that he thinks I'm correct.
Oh, I agree with Nate more than he thinks. I just like to give him hell, too.
All right. So
Bengals. All right, guys, so we'll see you guys next week. No,
I am.
I'm kidding.
I mean, I'm picking the Bengals.
I would, too, if I was a Dallas fan. It's fine.
I think this is a matchup that people are not looking at it in a way that I'm looking at it.
Well, you're a Bengals fan, yeah.
I'm looking at it where the Rams are built like the Chiefs, okay? And when the Rams are punched in the mouth, they don't like it,
Yeah.
okay? And when the Rams have a team like the 49ers, I'm going to use that as an example, that just keep coming. They don't die. They just keep coming. They don't do well, okay? And the Rams all year have blown second half leads. The Rams all year have made that mistake to cost them a game.
And you guys have, but I will be devil's advocate. You've had a lot of games. You guys have been down by double digits at halftime.
Yes,
You guys
and
have
then we came back to
I know,
win.
but I'm saying, but I'm just using that example.
Yes,
You've had slow starts too.
And I'm not talking slow start. I'm just talking
Yeah,
about the whole game where, especially against Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's literally saying the opposite of a slow start. I think the Rams have barely made it to the Super Bowl because of their ineptability in the second half.
And they have moments in the game where it's like they forget that they're playing almost, and that's the reason why. Now I 100% have said all week I wish the game was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The momentum is the thing,
Mm-hmm.
but with the Bengals, and it's when you have a guy like, in my opinion, Joe Burrow. You are not going to be affected by anything. I pray that nobody like Eli Apple or some dumbass no-name says something on media day that is bulletin board material. I hope that somebody doesn't go out and, get stupid and drunk and, something like that. Like, I'm praying for that not to happen. I do think the Bengals win this game. I do think it's going to be a 24-21, 24-20 game. I do not think it's going to be high scoring.
So we all changed our blowout victory. Because I know me and you both said last week, whoever wins, it'd be a blowout one way or another.
And I just don't think if it's a blowout, I think the Bengals are the ones that blow them out.
Yeah.
If it's close, I think it's, the Rams can win the close game. But
I think I agree with you. If it's a blowout, I think it's the Bengals that do it.
But I think it's 24-20, 24-21. Bengals win, and I could easily see what Nate said. I could easily see McPherson coming out there with 4 seconds left, kicking a game-winning 52-yard field goal to win the game. But I just, as a fan, I hate picking, and I didn't want to say a score. I didn't want to pick the Bengals. I was just going to say I'm not picking. You guys know I'm rooting for the Bengals and whatever. But I honestly believe that this team is different. And it's going to come down to that difference, and they just never quit. They never stop coming. And it's, that's the thing that got the Chiefs. The team never stopped coming. And that's going to be the Rams' downfall, I feel. So I don't know if that made any sense at all.
No,
or anything, but
it makes sense to me. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the Rams have been very inconsistent at times, more than once. They've done it over and over and over again. They've been inconsistent at times. And I think on the other side of that, I mean, again, Matthew Stafford's interceptions in key moments. But I think if I'm going to do the flip side, so I can say it about both teams, the Bengals have had a lot of games where they come out slow for the whole first half, and it's probably been almost half their games this season, if not close to half. And I hope that that's okay to do against a lot of teams. They made it work against the Chiefs twice. I get it. But this is the Super Bowl. This is a very different situation. This isn't the Jags. This isn't the Chargers. This isn't the Colts. This is the other best team in the league. And that's my thing is, like, if the Bengals score, I personally, for me, I think they can mount the comeback, which may be what you and other fans want to see, is almost start slow and have that comeback. But I think if they punch the Rams in the mouth first, it's over.
Yeah.
I think that's my thing. I think, honestly, if the Bengals start like they have been and start slow, I don't think they win it. I think this is the time where they go, oh, we thought we had it, but we didn't. I think they need to punch the Rams early. Score first, score second, and I don't think they look back.
All right, now my last thought on the Super Bowl. This halftime show better not suck.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God. I am so excited for this halftime show. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to see this halftime show. But I hope the NFL doesn't make it so it sucks.
They probably will. They'll probably spread some paper straw message in the background. They'll do something to piss people off, I'm sure. Every Super Bowl they do something like that.
Halftime show is going to be epic.
Yeah, I'm fully convinced it's going to be the best Super Bowl.
I loved the promo.
Yeah,
for it. I thought
great.
that was awesome, but
it's not going to be good
if they spent half as much money as they did on the promos, the actual show, it's going to be legit.
It will never be as good as the Janet Jackson Super Bowl, though. That's one of the best.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, okay, you're 12 years old.
No, I'm very excited for honestly the halftime show, which doesn't happen very often. Usually that's when you go get a drink, but I'm like, I don't think I want to miss it. I think I want to sit down and enjoy it.
I'm hoping for a good game. I mean, unless the Bengals blow them out. I mean, because then that's a good game for me anyways.
Of course it is.
But it's funny because I've been hearing from friends that I have it numbers popping up in my phone that I haven't heard from in 20 years, and I'm like, thanks, man. Thanks.
You had a phone 20 years ago?
Well, I haven't heard from these people in 20 years.
Gotcha.
It's, but I mean, even on Facebook, people it's been amazing. I love it. People, and I do feel that it's just funny that it's Stafford. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't Stafford, if it was the 49ers, I think you would have everybody that lives in America except in California would be rooting for the Bengals.
Most people are.
But since it's Stafford, I feel that it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Because I think they look at Stafford as saying he's never been, Burrow's second year, Burrow has more time.
Yeah.
And I hate hearing that. You don't have more time in the NFL. Yeah. This is it. And you have to treat every Super Bowl. Tom Brady did. You have to treat every Super Bowl like it's your last Super Bowl.
I think something else that's, for me, is interesting is this game is going to literally change the way we look at football for the next few years, because you have the old guy and the young guy, which happened for Tom Brady for years. But now you're looking at it and you're looking at it going, you can literally build a team now from both sides. What you're going to see is other teams go, this team was built through the draft, and this team was built through free agency. And teams are scratching their head going, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And this is the saddest part of it all. My Dallas Cowboys missed the playoffs. DC didn't make the playoffs. I think a Super Bowl loss would hurt me more than missing the playoffs for the rest of my life. I wouldn't want to know how it would feel if something bad happened this Sunday for you, Mark.
Well, no, here's the thing.
I just want to know if you want to explain, that's got it.
So the last time they lost the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
Joe Montana drove down the field.
Yep.
And it was there was 30 seconds left on the clock, and he threw a pass to Jerry Rice. Okay, first Super Bowl, I was 5, 6, at 6.
Not
81,
enough to
I was
really
6.
remember.
But I remember watching the game, and I remember knowing. I mean, at 6, when you're brought up in sports, you know, and he hit John Taylor with like 15 seconds left. Like, I had that is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I would much rather have been on the other end of a 55-10 or a blowout than having where your team did exactly what they're supposed to do, went right down the field, scored with the game-winning touchdown with just over a minute left, and then Joe Montana happened twice, and it still hurts. Where I refuse to like Joe Montana. Like, you talk about greatness in a quarterback. Joe Montana had it. I refuse to even give him any sort of credit at all because he ripped my heart out twice.
This might make you hate Matthew Stafford on Monday.
Here's the thing.
Or love Joe Burrow even more.
If they lose this Super Bowl, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they win this Super Bowl,
You're going to cry.
I'm going to cry. And I put it, and my wife laughs at me, but I wanted to ask you and Nate, and I want Nate to go first because we haven't heard Nate's voice in a couple minutes.
Sorry, Nate.
Nate, if Washington makes it to the Super Bowl, win or lose, are you crying?
Yeah.
Oh, for
Without
sure.
a doubt.
Oh, I'll let him
Without a
keep
doubt.
going.
Do you
I
cry?
cried when the Capitals won the World. I cried when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup.
I did too.
When the Nationals won the World Series, I cried. And I'm a 3,000 times bigger fan of the Commanders as I am the Nationals or Capitals. Not to say I'm not a big fan of them, but 1,000,000%, dude.
And that's the thing. I think it would be more Monday because I know my wife will make fun of me. But Monday I don't work till 12. I'll wake up early and I'll watch all the highlights. I'll watch all the fan reactions. Like, I'm watching on Facebook. I follow every single Bengal fan thing and media person, and they're putting on these things of people. There was one where it made me cry. An 86-year-old man has been a diehard fan his whole life, and he's sitting there and he's bawling his eyes out after this man kicked the field goal. And Cincinnati fans and people all over the country did a GoFundMe page for this man. He's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But just watching grown men like myself that have sat through agony. Agony. Your teams have had, well, maybe not Washington so much as Dallas. Dallas has had winning seasons. Dallas has, but they haven't come close to the Super Bowl since 95.
Yeah.
And Washington hasn't come close to the Super Bowl since
97?
91.
91. Sorry, I was off. Yep, 91.
And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, Washington is in the same boat the Bengals were. You make it to the playoffs occasionally, but you're one and done, or you don't make it. Dallas has been, since 95. So how many years is that? 27?
27 years. I'm 27 years old.
And they've had the team, but they're one and done, or they have a bad call again. And to me, for people that love sports and live and die by sports and are passionate about sports, it's it's emotional and it's crazy.
I love sports. I love many sports. Like I said, I don't watch just football, but for me, I've only cried in sports twice. One was absolute bawling, and then one was I had a little tear in my eye. The little tear in my eye was when Ovechkin and the Capitals won the Stanley Cup. The other one was, it's a college football moment. It was a long time ago, 2008. Actually, it was 2006. It was the last game of the season as a West Virginia fan against Pitt. We were 11-0. Potentially the ranked fourth team in the country BCS was 1-2 back then, and Pat McAfee missed the game-winning field goal against Pitt and had death threats for almost 15 years sent to him for that game. And I remember watching it, I was crying at 11 years old because that was we were gonna play Bama, I don't know who it was at the time, and I remember that moment. And to answer the question, if Dallas won the Super Bowl, I would probably cry. If they lost the Super Bowl, I probably wouldn't be surprised because it's Dallas, right? They like to choke, but just like Nate said with DC, like I would lose my mind. So for you to cry if they win, I would completely respect that. And that's what a lot of the women in our lives, especially my wife who doesn't watch football, your wife who really doesn't. I know Nate's wife does, but like in general, like they don't really understand the passion behind sports. And it could be Nate with wrestling, it could be you with football, and baseball could be me with racing and NFL. Like there's a passion behind it, and when your person, team, athlete, whatever it is that has success, like it's absolutely like handicapping you. Like you don't know how to move.
Yep.
So I wouldn't want to be in your position this week, win or lose. Like it's
going to be
scary.
last week was long.
This is going to be a long
This
week.
is going to be even longer.
It's going to be a long week.
But Nate, any last words before we, say goodbye till, you hear from me Super Bowl Sunday?
No, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing, man, is I'm just wishing your Bengals all of the good fortune.
Appreciate it.
You've been deprived your whole life of a Super Bowl, and if my team's not going to win it, damn it, your team better. And I just really want to see one of the best Super Bowls we've ever seen.
Yeah. Yep. Hans?
Sorry, I was reading what Nate just sent us. I was going to watch the video. Nate just sent us a thing saying Jalen Ramsey said there's a lot of top guys. I like watching Trayvon Diggs, obviously. Like talking about how like potentially the watching of him rise up like that is made him messed up. For me, my last word would be I'm going to root for the Bengals. I want to see them win. Like I said, it's not who I think will win, and it has nothing to do with Mark. I want to see the Bengals win. I want to see Joe Burrow win. He's an elite quarterback, and this team is very special. And I want to see Mark win, and I actually thought when we started the show it'd be decades before either one of our teams saw close to this game. So I'm very, very happy for his team, even though I've kind of given him hell because somebody has to. The whole group has been on this man's D for 2 weeks now, and somebody has to be the antagonizer here.
Yeah,
but I am very happy for his team. I'm happy they're here. I'm very proud of the Bengals. I doubted them every week in my picks. I did because somebody had to do it for Mark, and because of my doubting is why they've gotten this far, which is why I'm also picking the Rams one last time for his Bengals. Okay, I'm doubting them again. Prove me wrong, Joe Burrow.
All right. It's.
I think you just like being a dick, but
yeah. I mean,
It's
I'd
fun.
probably do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Nate, I learned it from the best. I learned it from you, bud.
But it is going to be. It is going to be. I tell everybody's coming over. Austin, Amber, you, Kiana, Xander, and I'm saying at 6:30, once that ball's kicked off, I'm football all day, and I'm going to have to, for the first time in my life, tell my grandson no. And it's going to break my heart, but this is God, I was 33 years ago. Yeah. I mean, that's...
You're still, what, 40?
I'm 46.
So you were 45 33 years ago. It's an old joke, bud. Come on, right over your head.
I'm lost.
How did you not pick up on that?
I appreciate the love in the group, but I'm, this is going to be a long week.
Yeah.
So with that, Nate, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get you and Logan on one again soon, especially after the season, to talk the state of the teams, what we think is going to happen, where we think people are going, the draft, everything. So I hope you're ready.
Grades, man.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate, and we'll talk to you soon. And, all the best with your wife and your growing baby, and, just good luck with everything.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
Bud. Have
Take
a good
care.
One. All right, everybody. So, we had Nate on. We went a little long for you guys. But, guys, this is the Super Bowl week. So, you guys will be hearing this on Friday. We recorded this Monday. There's a lot of media days, a lot of stuff that can happen between now and then. I'm sure we left a lot out. But when you guys hear this and listen to it, we want to hear your guys' opinions on Facebook. And we will put a poll up sometime this week, maybe before the podcast goes up. Just want to know who everybody's picking. Not just because Mark's a Bengals fan. Like, we want to hear why and break it down and let us know. So, with that, Mark.
Everybody have a good week, and who day, baby, who day.
Everybody have a good weekend.